and then my computer freezes. And the first song like slowly finishes, and then it's just dead silence, and my computer just completely crashed. They purposely built the buildings to be intimidating. So sometimes you can be walking, you're like, I feel like I've been on this block forever. Well, they designed it so that you kind of feel hopeless.
Yeah.
And here we go. Welcome to the show again, everyone. Tonight, we're super happy to have on the show Bryn Liedl. Thanks for coming on, Brody.
Hey, great to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for coming on, bro. So I'm going to start off with where you're from, where you grew up.
Well,
what's your background?
Born and raised in Vancouver. Yeah.
Okay.
Born in North Van and living in Vancouver. I've been here my whole life.
How's it, the life growing up in Vancouver, North Van, bit of Langley?
There's a lot of outdoor activities like mountain biking and snowboarding and skateboarding. That was like pretty much my life growing up. Actually, horseback riding. I had a horse growing up. So.
Yeah, the horse, eh?
Yeah, really?
So all those that good stuff.
Proper country boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a cowboy hat or?
No, I rode English style. So.
Oh, really? Eh?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I ditched horse riding for snowboarding because it was a little more exciting.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and it also gets kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, horse is expensive, man. My buddy's a farrier,
Yeah.
and I mean, it is expensive for sure. Yeah, but English style is like dressage, right? Is that right?
Dressage and jumping and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a little bit. I'm not like a.
I could do a little bit of dressage, like go sideways and backwards
Oh, yeah?
and forwards, but yeah, I didn't take it too far.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun though.
Yeah, no doubt.
Nice, man.
So how'd you go from riding horses to getting into electronic music?
Well, I went to my first rave.
Yeah.
I was in bands growing up, which I love music, so music's always been a part of my life.
Yeah.
My family's all involved with music, so yeah, I remember going to my first rave going, wait a sec, one person can do this? You don't need a whole team of people? And that just intrigued me. And
Yeah.
I loved the music, I loved the vibe, I loved seeing all the people together. And I just wanted to be a part of it.
That's super cool. So you were into bands and things while you were at school? Playing instruments?
Into college, I was the lead singer and
Yeah.
tried to be rhythm guitar player, but I can play guitar, but I was never as good as the rest of the band, so I usually stuck to the lead singer.
Yeah.
So I was mostly emos type stuff. So.
Yeah.
Emo
right on,
music,
man.
yeah?
Yeah.
That's
So
super cool.
on your sleeve type.
Yeah, did you guys
lyric.
actually record anything, lay anything down?
We never actually coughed up the budget to record, but we did local shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That's super cool.
What kind of so there's emo music? What kind of bands were like your inspiration back then?
Oh, probably The Used or AFI, that kind of stuff.
Oh.
I love that really kind of high voice, just a lot of reverb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because when I look at the vocals that I do now in my music, it's actually really influenced by that. So still,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny how that kind of echoes through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to come on to the producing part later on in the show, but you do your own vocals, for your music and everything?
Yeah.
Fucking sweet. I've done a bit of that myself. Not really good. I ain't really got a soulful voice, but do a bit of yeah.
What's that bit? Yeah.
Voice is such a beautiful instrument, and we all have it. We're all walking around.
But we can't all use it properly.
Well, you can use it in different ways.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you can box. You can.
Yeah.
I mean, your voice can pretty much make any sound.
Yeah.
Creative with a mic and some effects, you can do some pretty cool stuff.
I guess with YouTube now, you can train your voice to a bit of a me. Get yourself ready.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Brad, but I was going to say, that first rave you went to, what one was it? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. I think it was called Apex Rave. I don't even know if they're still around. I wasn't in the industry at all at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know who was running. I don't even know who played.
And what kind of age were you?
I was just really, really high and really enjoying it.
16, 17,
Yeah,
18?
I think I was 17.
Yeah.
16 or 17.
Yeah, cool.
And it was just the first time I saw a group of people, thousands of people together. Just, there was no fights, there was no drama. It was just enjoying in this sort of ethereal.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was my first vision of that, and I was like, man, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, that switch was turned on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What kind of music style or genre was that back then?
At the time, my palette wasn't even refined enough to like
know.
I
just
know
fucking
it was
went.
definitely
It was electronic.
yeah, 4x4 beat.
Yeah, it was beat driven.
The takeaway, it's funny. The takeaway was more of the vibe and the community aspect of it.
Yeah.
As opposed to the music.
I mean, like me and Craig have discussed this a lot, and we on previous podcasts, like the community that electronic music does bring. It's a fucking good community. Like back in your days with. I'll say your days, no offense, but back in the Ravers days in the 90s, it was all about standing up and being like, fuck you, sort of.
It was kind of that, but it was almost exactly what Bryn just said. It was that whole revolution of, again, we were all high, obviously.
And sometimes it takes a substance to jumpstart that.
And the substance at the time was the one that made us all want to love each other and enjoy the music. And it was that whole community thing. It was being part of something that no one else was.
Yeah.
Right? And it was slightly different. It was underground, and I saw a post actually today that was like, you should only go raving for the music, not to go and get high and fucked up. But I was just like, I don't know, actually. It's a balance of both, So. For some people, obviously not to get getting wasted and doing whatever. Trust me, I don't mean that. I just mean it's part parcel of the whole package. It's part of that little community thing, kind of. When you're all in the same space listening to one guy playing music and you're all on the same feeling and that same level, it doesn't matter if you're high or straight. You're all in that little moment, and that's what electronic music and raving is about for me.
Whether you're high or sober, you're still you.
You're still you, exactly, and you're still all in that same vibe at that moment.
Real.
Exactly,
and you wake up in the morning, you still feel great about it.
Absolutely, and it really did bring a whole load of different groups of people, and still does, different groups of people together.
Yeah.
Right? All of a sudden are in that moment. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Right?
It's obviously that Apex was your first gig. How did you start going?
First
show, sorry. Going from there, like what other shows did you go to? When did you start exploring to know the beat that you actually liked?
Yeah, so I had a friend, my buddy AJ. So he was the guy that really kind of showed it to me. Like we went and saw Tiesto, and I forget, we went to, there's a show here called Doom's Night. It's still going.
Really?
Yeah. It's epic brand. They've managed to keep it going all these years. So I haven't been for a while, but I heard it. I think it was actually supposed to be on, but it got canceled because of COVID. But
yeah.
So my friend, he showed me a bunch of different shows, and I started kind of getting into it myself. And I was like really curious how the music was made. So I downloaded GarageBand, and I was like, still in college, just started trying to figure it out, and just started doing it myself. I met another friend that kind of showed me the ropes. He told me about Ableton, so I started working in Ableton. Just really, I've always been a musician, so like playing keyboards, so the whole like playing into MIDI, that came really quick. Like I had great song ideas, and I was able to record vocals in it. So that stuff came fairly naturally, but it was the producing and the mixing and the ear and the refining it to be something that could actually be released. That's what took years of just hard work and dedication to the craft.
For sure,
man. Like with regards to playing an instrument, obviously you play the guitar in your band, you play keyboard. Is there any other instruments that you can play?
I'd say keyboards, guitar, and vocals are the ones I would probably confidently say I could pick up and just play a riff on. I did a bit of drumming just for fun, but I would say those are my main.
Keyboard, I think, is the key to them all, isn't it? Piano, pretty much, is the root.
Piano,
I wish I had learned it. I have a friend that's really good at making music, who I've asked quite a lot of times to help me make music, but he's never actually helped me. Hey, Brad. Hey?
I don't know much.
But yeah, no, keyboard, I think, like, had a few friends that are good musicians that can play a few, but they're always like, piano is, if you can play piano, you can kind of...
I love piano. That's how I usually get ready for writing. Like if I'm doing some writing or writing vocals for someone, I'll just sit down with the piano, keyboard, and put on like a natural piano sound.
A natural piano
and
sound,
then I just like sit there for like 20 minutes and just riff, and it just kind of helps me get into the creative state. And out of my head.
It's a great instrument, eh? Yeah. Like I wanted to buy one for my daughter, and I asked her so many times. I was like, "Come on, I'll get you one." She's like, "Nah, I'm good." I was like,
a real piano? They're so heavy.
No, I was going to get a keyboard. Yeah, I was going to get a keyboard.
I'd love to get like a grand
piano. Yeah, grand piano. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
My entire apartment.
They're worth a bit of money though, right? How much money?
Yeah, they're not cheap, I don't think.
I think I've seen like the minimum for Brown was like 12 grand.
You'd have to get like a little mini Charlie Brown one. What was his buddy that played the little mini? No, what was the Charlie Brown cartoon? He had his one buddy that played the one little mini grand piano. Anyway, you can get a kid's one.
Yeah,
the half grand. Yeah, the baby grand. Yeah.
So with regards to you said you do vocals, and obviously going through making music.
Yeah.
Do you write vocals for people? Is that?
Yeah. So I write lyrics for people.
Yeah.
I work with my sister too. She's a vocalist, so
Sweet.
I'll write the lyrics for her projects. And then I write all the lyrics for my own projects.
Nice.
And yeah.
So there's a lot of musicians in your family, would you say?
Yes, there is. My dad is the one. He's an amazing guitar player. So he's the one that really got me into music. Took me out to talent shows when we were like little, and got the whole family up there playing.
Oh yeah.
So I was kind of used to
performing. Yeah, that's super cool.
Practicing, and we'd practice, and just kind of what it would take to perform. Like you got to practice for a month before you can go on stage. You can't just go up there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I did learn about that, like preparation and being prepared. And if it's actually carried into now, where if I'm nervous for a gig, if I'm honest, I'm not prepared enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's being prepared is half the battle.
How about your writing process when you're coming up with lyrics? Like,
that is definitely taking shape, like day by day.
Mm-hmm.
I sang on my album that I released in 2019, and a lot of those songs I had written sort of over the 3 years prior. So I didn't really have one way of writing. I'd go to coffee shops or just sit down, and sometimes it would just hit me at night. But now, where I've got more sort of gigs of doing writing, and I need to make sure that I can write this the next few days, I don't have months and months to do it. I am trying to really refine what that
structure
means. And sometimes it's just going for a walk around the seawall, and it's just kind of counterintuitive. Like, oh, I'm not working right now, I'm on a nice walk, but that's when the vocals hit me. So that is your work, right? Is going for a walk.
And how about inspiration when you're coming up with your vocals? Where do you find it in different places? Like,
inspiration. So if I'm writing it for someone else, then I'll try to incorporate what their concept, what they want to kind of come through. So, but if I'm writing for myself, to be honest, I usually write from just my own experiences, and then I try to write it in a way that you can take it and apply it to whatever is meaningful to you. So, yeah.
And again, I'm not a producer or anything myself. Do you start with your lyric first and then build the track after the lyric?
Yeah.
Or is it a bit of a mix?
It starts with starting the track.
Yeah.
And then I will just be like, oh, this is going to be a vocal track. And then I'll write some lyrics for
it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's nice, yeah.
Kind of goes both ways.
Yeah. A bit of both, depending.
If I'm working with someone else, then they'll send me something.
Yeah.
And then I write to that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go backpedal just a little bit.
Yeah.
You said like your dad said to you, you have to practice for a month before you go on stage.
Yeah.
So with your first gig, how was the nerves with your first gig? Going to do that,
gig. Well, I mean, I had gigs. It's hard to pinpoint like my first gig because I've played so many, but my first like real gig is like Bryn Liedl, the DJ, not just at little spots or friends' places, but That was actually in Switzerland. So
Really?
I was
Wow.
so nervous.
Fucking fair
And
play, mate.
I didn't know how to use CDJs. I just had my little controller. I think it was a Tractor S4.
Okay.
Yeah, S4. And so I took it on the plane with me and got there. I had prepared for like a month. Like I knew I wasn't even DJing at that point. I was DJing, but I had like all the songs planned out.
Yeah.
I had all the transitions mapped. Like I wasn't going to take any chances on this first gig. Like I was opening for Ben Gold, so
Really?
I was like, wow, this has to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I only had an hour, so there wasn't really even a lot of room to kind of freestyle for it. So I didn't really know how to properly DJ at that time. I just knew enough to be able to transition. And so I got on stage, fired everything up, launched the first song. The bass is just like thundering. I'm like, wow, this is happening. And then my computer freezes. And the first song like slowly finishes, and then it's just dead silence, and my computer just completely crashed. And so there's dead silence for like I felt like eternity.
Yeah, like
10 seconds or so, and then this veteran DJ who's now a good friend of mine, he came running up. He was on the list that night, and he's like, what's going on, dude? I'm like, I don't know, my computer crashed. So he just threw his USB in and started like getting the crowd going. I did a full reboot and went on to have a great show, but that was a bumpy start.
Oh fuck, I can imagine.
So that's when I went, yeah, enough of this controller stuff. I'm using CDJs, so I went and figured that out.
And
as soon as I got home.
being a bit of a geek, what was the first set of CDJs you bought then?
I got the 2000 Nexus.
Did you? Yeah.
Oh, really?
Nexus once.
Yeah.
Nexus
Nice.
once. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I wasn't going to mess around because I had other gigs coming up, and I was like,
If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Really.
They're not cheap, are they? Oh, fuck.
It's a huge investment.
Oh, yeah, it is.
But if you're serious about your career,
It's pretty much the industry.
You're buying drills.
It's industry standard, and pretty much if you
CDJs.
exactly right. It's industry standard, pretty much. Oh, we got a.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
So obviously you planned that set for a month. Obviously it didn't go that well at the first track, but
Well, it was frustrating because I was like, this isn't my fault. Like, this is technology's fault, you know? I mean, it was my fault because it was my technology. But, I realized, like, the weak link here is the technology.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't my dedication or practice beforehand.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized, got to make sure that link is as solid as possible, you know?
Yeah.
did that playlist that you planned for a month though go well with that crowd in Switzerland?
It went well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like me and Craig have said, you got to read the crowd and things like that. So
It went well. I mean, I knew they were coming to see Ben Gold. It was
Yeah.
a trance show. That was like, so I kind of knew if I played progressive
Mm-hmm.
trance, I mean, couldn't go too wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
How did it come about that you got that set there?
I released a track with my sister called Statues.
Yeah.
And it actually got a remix from Brian Carney, who's like a pretty big name in trance, and so that got a lot of attention.
Nice.
Especially from the European market.
Yeah,
And
trance is
then I
pretty big
started
out there,
getting
right?
booked there.
Yeah.
So it was kind of random, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, how was that? That must have been pretty exciting. What kind of age were you then when it really first kind of you went over there and did that and started traveling abroad to DJ right off the bat? That's quite...
About 6 years ago?
Yeah.
7 years ago? Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's cool, man. How did you break into the Vancouver scene then? Because obviously most people start in their hometown and, could then go and explore and DJ, but then you started your first proper one, Switzerland.
And then came back home.
And came back home, yeah.
Home and then went back to Switzerland. And yeah, it's, I have so many friends in the music industry here. I played shows here, and it's really when I started the music studio and really started investing in the Vancouver community, and it's absolutely beautiful, man.
Mm-hmm.
The love and the camaraderie that's here.
Yeah.
And, it's been really, really amazing just getting to really integrate into Vancouver and really loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of talent in Vancouver. I've said me and Craig said this before, there's talent. I think with the talent, Vancouver has so much to offer.
Vancouver is such a rich scene. It's small and it's underground,
Yeah.
and you gotta kind of get in there to look for it, but it's there and it's very vibrant, and a lot of people just doing their own thing, throwing shows, just going for it, and
yeah, it's nice to see actually on social media lately that there's been quite a lot of stuff going on again after all this COVID thing, right? There's actually people out there.
Well, I think we're one of the sort of the last places to sort of open up. I mean, I don't know, maybe Australia, but
yeah, to actually start trying to get back to somewhat normality, whatever that might be again.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's good to see it. There seems to be lots of stuff going on.
And people are just so ready to be.
Everyone's ready.
Everyone's been locked up, man. Yeah.
Because electronic music's so much more than just music. Like we started off talking about, it's about community.
Exactly.
And
I think this could almost make it a bigger scene, because after being locked down for a couple of years, everyone, like you just said, everyone's ready.
And I think there's a real return to the underground, which I'm all about. I love the underground.
It's where it started.
I love dark clubs.
It's where it started.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, some of my favourite clubs in the world that I've ever been in are black rooms with very minimal lights, but the best sound system you've ever heard in your life. That's all I need. Dark room, sound system. Give me the sound system. I could do with just a strobe and a smoke machine.
Oh, that's
and I'd be happy, right?
I saw HVOB in Berlin, and they had no colored lighting. It was just a white light.
Fucking white light.
Amazing.
Yes,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Right.
It was amazing.
I've been to one which was a dark room and it had just a red light bulb. Don't get me wrong, it seemed a bit scary.
That's like next level minimal,
Yeah,
right?
but it was like a fucking good night.
You sure that wasn't Amsterdam, Brad? Are we talking about a different holiday, bro?
Oh shit, I'm on the wrong show for that one. Yeah.
What about talking to traveling? Obviously, you went over to Switzerland and did your thing there. Any other countries you've been to? And obviously you've done some shows elsewhere.
In 2019, I did a tour for my album with Kyau Albert. I went on tour with them, and so I was so stoked that they invited me out, and we did Berlin, we did Paris, we did Seattle, and we did LA. So that was really exciting.
That must have been super fun.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long in each spot?
How
kind of long in each spot did you hit?
Well, there was a gap of 2 weeks between the Paris and the Berlin show, so I ended up just getting an Airbnb in Berlin and just
hanging out.
Studio, and
Just cheap.
I'm like, when else in my life am I going to have like 3 weeks to kill between 2 shows
in Berlin?
I could fly home.
I'm going to make some techno.
Yeah, I'm like,
I
did.
Did you really?
I made my track Underworld out there.
Nice,
man.
Underworld is the name of one of my favourite bands, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, who makes some great techno-y kind of old school.
They did, yeah. So in Berlin then, is it quite the norm to rent a place in studio space? Because a lot of people travel to Berlin to excel their musical career and their knowledge. It's quite a thing, isn't it? Because a lot of people go there to learn a bit more about Eurorack and learn more about synths, and there's more of that opportunity there for them.
Huge vibrancy there, and there's just so much art, and it's just like running down the walls there. I don't know, when I go there, I visited there in 2018 with my wife Laura, and then I went back in 2019 to play a show, and then both times it was just equally as inspiring. And yeah, I'd love to one day have a studio there and just be able to go there to take like a month a year, because the stuff you write in Berlin is just, I don't know, it's so creative. There's just this freedom there that it's tangible and it's hard to explain.
So you reckon the community there is quite encouraging on your music writing, right? It's partly the community, and it's also just partly the raw aspect of the actual city. Like, when you go into sort of the Soviet area,
the history and the way it's all grown,
blocks, and they purposely built the buildings to be intimidating. So sometimes you can be walking, you're like, I feel like I've been on this block forever. Well, they designed it so that you kind of feel hopeless. And there's sort of a romance to that. And then you go into the other side of Berlin that wasn't behind the wall, and it's totally different. It's more of a German city, and the contrast, you can just be walking and then you go from one to the other, and you see graffiti with the like Soviet signs on. You realize, man, so much heartbreak, so much
history, so much everything. I think that's why they love the industrial techno, because I think, again, it's almost, their buildings, they're industrial. Yeah. Their architecture, they're kind of like, everything about it is that kind of
very basic,
hard edge,
like you say.
Right?
There's something about it, it just really allows you to, even with the clubs, they're so free and you can, anything goes, of course, respectfully and consensually, and it's like, but they don't rage. It's very hard to explain. They don't rage there, but they're out all night, but they're not like, no one's fighting, no one's in anyone's face. It's so calm. Just releasing their energy and just having a good time and thundering bass lines, and there's like a freedom to be yourself, and I think they've really captured that, and I think that's kind of, to me, the essence of Berlin. It's just freedom to be who you are.
I mean, like, where was the best place you went clubbing in Berlin? And because obviously there's a lot of respectable clubs there.
I'd have to say Berghain was.
You got in there, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
I just went by myself, and I was there for like.
It's
the
tough,
one
man.
Is that the one where your buddy dressed up and then took you?
Yeah. So my buddy Geordie couldn't get in, and then he went to a store and got like a see-through netted PVC, like netted top thing, and he went back up. I forgot the guy's name who's on the door. Sven, that's it. Yeah, he's got the ponytail, the glasses, and all the piercings. And he has the final say, right? And he's a legend of the club. I'm not going to take any photographs. And Joe walked out and went, fuck up. It's the only time I'm going to get it. It's the only time I'm in Germany, in Berlin. And he fucking got in. He says, best thing he ever had. Mm-hmm. And they put tape over your cameras on your phones, or if you get your phone out, slap it out of your hand. It's literally like, you go there to experience that experience.
Yeah. It was the same, just like that first rave I was at. It felt like a community. It was a Sunday morning at 11 a.m. It was, felt like I was walking into church or something. Yeah. Just a bunch of people celebrating being human and the human experience. It was amazing.
Yeah. Sunday morning, 11 a.m. That's a good time to go clubbing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I was totally sober. I had a nice coffee, a little croissant, and went to the club.
Yeah, that's we talked about this actually on
at like 6. That was good to go.
Perfect.
We talked about this on a couple of shows. I went to the original Space in Ibiza, and again it started at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. It's fantastic. Sun's coming up, right? Oh. You're outside on the terrace. It's not indoors. You're underneath like a camo thing. Sun comes up. It's 8 o'clock. You're all fucked up from the night before anyway. And you carry on through the day. It was quite the experience. Like you said, it's almost heartwarming just thinking about it, right?
And with regards to obviously going to Berlin, what other cities have you played in, and which city stood out to you the most musically that you enjoyed?
Oh, well, I think LA was my favorite to play in.
Yeah.
Partially maybe the venue, but I have a lot of friends there, and it's just the vibe was really, really fun. The crowd was amazing, and all the cities that I play have been really fun. So it would be really hard to pinpoint it. Mm-hmm. I think I just had more friends at the LA show, so.
Oh, okay. Is that because they could travel from
here? They're just from LA. And
stuff.
But I would say, everywhere you play, it's fun and the people are amazing, and haven't really run into a bad situation.
What would you say is the craziest thing you've seen? Like any DJ gig, no matter how wild the story is, what's the craziest thing you've seen, like when you've played all these places?
Craziest thing I've seen?
Yeah.
Is just, I won't name any names, but seeing like veteran DJs, like how they can just play no matter what, like no matter how much they've drank, no matter what they've done. I'm just so impressed, because like when I do a show, I don't like to drink before. Like I want to come in just focused, and then I see the veteran DJs, and I'm like, man, I feel like they could do this with their eyes closed,
Yeah.
I'd say that's the most impressive thing. It's just how good they are.
Yeah, because I think it's like with any sport or anything you control, you have to give your most focus on. A couple of beers normally just eases you off a little bit, and you can sort of relax, and not be like sweaty and like, oh man, I've really got to make this. So like when I used to play, I used to just get a couple of beers and be like, exactly. And be like, I feel all right now.
Like craziest thing, I'm trying to think. Like I haven't seen anything too crazy.
No.
Oof.
You know?
I could tell some stories,
I
but
could tell
we'll go
some
there.
stories, but like, they're more of like clubs that I went to, you know.
Yeah. That's me too. Not played at.
Yeah,
Mine
not
are
playing,
ones.
but yeah, even-
mine are ones I've gone to
Even
where
the
I'm
ones
like,
you've gone to, yeah.
oof. Yeah.
No,
Jeez, I went to one in London where I saw something, which was it was all good. Nothing I've ever seen on the dance floor before or since. Let's put it that way.
I
Anyway.
saw a few things like that in Berlin. But,
Yeah.
I feel like what happens in those clubs stays.
Stays there.
It's a safe place.
Yeah.
It's a good vibe place for anyone, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking So, going on to music production then, like, where did that all, like, when did you, because you mainly do trance, right?
Well, I started with pretty, like, I guess, you know, real trance. 132. I was never like a uplifting trance producer, but as I've produced over the years, it's slowly gotten, you know, lowered the BPM. Now I'm kind of in the 126 kind of hybrid between progressive techno and trance. That's kind of where I live. I like trance because of the freedom to incorporate melody, and vocals and things like that. So that's why I think the trance through line is still there, because, you know, I'm going to be singing and have some melodies and stuff like that. But I love the energy of the bass of techno, and I love the drive and the rumble, and so I like incorporating that into my productions, and the progressive sort of sound palette. I like that, so I feel like that it's kind of the sound, sort of a mixture of all those.
And I see you part of is it a label you're part of called Euphoria? Euphonic, that's it. Sorry, apologies.
It's been amazing. They brought me on tour, so that's, I don't know if you're familiar with Kyau Albert, but they're a trance duo.
Okay.
And they've they're pretty well known in trance. They're kind of godfathers. They you know, really pioneered the scene and done so much for the scene. And so their label is Euphonic. It's part of Sony Music Germany.
Okay, really?
Yeah, so that's the label I've been releasing on. They
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. When's that label sort of been around since? How long has it been out? Is that an older label?
It's been out since I think the 90s.
Mate, I think I might even have a track on Euphonic. I do. Do. Somewhere in my stack.
Because the logo is.
It is. I've got one. Now I'm gonna go digging. Now I've got to go digging. As soon as I get home, I got a few bits of vinyl, bro. So fucking,
Do you dabble in a bit of vinyl at all? Or?
I've got like three that I got at Hard Wax, and I don't have a vinyl player, but I should get one.
I don't know, man. I've got
more than a couple. Fuck yeah, no, I'm sure I've got a track on Euphonic. I'm 100% I do.
Yeah,
100%. Now
it's probably a Kyau Albert, or
because I was super into trance when trance kind of first came out in the UK. I was went to lots of the early rave stuff, and so it was the rave, hardcore, jungle, drum and bass all started coming out, and then there was house and trance and and trance. Like, I liked it for the same reasons. There's the melody, there's the vocals, there's that kind of atmospheric. It's, you know. So now, like I said, I can't wait to go home actually and start digging, man.
Send me a picture.
I will, yeah.
Which track?
If I can find it.
If it was on Euphonic, I'd know.
The only problem is, I think I've got about 2,000 bits of vinyl to go through before I find it.
I think I've seen it. I think seeing it. Yeah. That's a fucking hell.
Like I said, I'll go digging when I get home, man. Sorry, I totally squirreled us there.
Fucking
Euphonic fan.
Yeah, because I'll be honest. I only know the main guys that I sort of was Tiesto, Ferry Corsten, Armin Van Buuren, Mauro Picotto. Them sort of guys. That's the sort of time I started listening to a bit of trance back in the day. But this label is based in the Netherlands, is it?
Euphonic's based in Germany.
Germany?
Yeah.
Sorry, Germany. Okay. How did you, what was your first release on that label?
That is a really good question. I can't remember my first release on Euphonic. I was sending Kyau Albert music. I think it might have been a remix. I'd have to check.
Yeah.
But then they encouraged me to do an album. They're like, hey, you should do an album. I was like,
What?
What?
Really?
How would
That's
I do
awesome,
an album?
man.
Like, I don't.
Wicked, yeah.
How would I do that? he's like, they were so encouraging. They're like, no, you got it in you. Take a year, just make it. We'll release it. And so,
wow,
kind of giving me the permission to do that, or even think I was capable of doing
that. Must have been so encouraging, obviously.
It was great, and then I'd send them the songs, and they'd give me feedback, and they'd send them back, and I had these legends basically kind of helping me discover my sound. It was really incredible experience, actually, looking back.
That's amazing.
It's a good learning curve as well, right?
Putting together like a body of work, you just learn. First of all, you learn so much about yourself, how like your roadblocks and just personal internal things that you got to kind of overcome. Like, am I good enough? All these questions that come up.
Yeah, most producers struggle with. Yeah.
And then also like looking back and going, oh wow, there is a sound here.
Mm-hmm.
And as you progress and my mixes get better, and I feel like my productions get better. But looking back and going, hey, I'm happy with that, and it was an honest expression of like the 3 years leading up to 2019, and yeah.
Did they give you like a time frame to do it in, or no, just for free? Fucking fair play. Yeah, because a lot of labels they want. They're looking to release.
It's amazing with that. Like, I'll send a track and then it'll get released in a couple of months.
Yeah.
So I don't have to wait years and years to have a release.
Yeah.
So it's really nice.
So like going a bit back from when you said at the beginning, taking a break, going for a walk, getting them sounds, they come to you like, oh man, this would be good. Was that incorporated in making the album then? Because obviously, like you say, you come to roadblocks, right? And you think, was there certain things you did that got certain sounds?
Well, I had a few tracks already.
Yeah.
Like my track Berlin Haze. That was the. It's funny because Berlin Haze just came out again this year, but I did a rework of it, a breaks rework where I sang. So it kind of lives on, but that was the first sort of single. So I started with that. So I had 3 already, and then I kind of built the album around those 3. So I was this is gonna kind of be like the first, and then I wanted to kind of progress. So it started out a bit slower, and I kind of ramped up, and I was able to even explore techno with my track Ascension, which was really cool. And it was a really fun experience.
What was the feedback like from when it got released from the Pete? Yeah. It was really good, and part of the tour was being able to play it out. So playing all the tracks out to crowds and seeing their reactions and hearing it thundering across the dance floor, going, wow, this is awesome. I didn't play all the tracks because some of them are a bit more listening tracks. Like one of the tracks is with my good friend Deza. He sang on it always, so I did a club mix of that later on. So some of the tracks weren't necessarily dance floor oriented. They were dance tracks, but wouldn't necessarily fit in my set. Okay.
Yeah.
So go on.
I was just going to say, just because you brought up sets, like again, squirreling, kind of sidetracking, when you're planning your set.
Yeah.
We've asked this before. Are you pretty structured? Do you pretty much say, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to play. This goes together. This is, or are you flexible? Do you go pretty much like old school where you've got a big fucking file and you'll know, okay, I can go this way and this way and this way, and I'm going to pick and choose depending on the crowd? Or you pretty much, no, I'm regimented. This is what I'm going to play.
It kind of depends on the show. Like for the album, when I was trying to promote the album, obviously I only have an hour, and there's
an hour's not long.
There's so many tracks.
Yeah. Oh fuck! Really?
I want to play X amount of tracks off the album.
Yeah. I
want to play other tracks that I've done, and then I'll try to maybe incorporate like maybe 4 tracks from someone else.
Absolutely.
So it was essentially like an artist set. So I only had. For every show, I would play a different format. Like I never would play just the same
set again.
I felt weird about doing that.
I would.
There was only so many ways all these songs could kind of fit together.
I think like when you're doing an artist set though, sorry to cut you off there, it's kind of like you need a good 2-3 hours to take them on the journey of your art.
I think so. Yeah,
you definitely
an hour for me just blows my mind. What can you do in an hour?
So I'm really used to the hour because that's when you're opening for someone bigger. You're on a tour. There's like hour slots or hour and a half.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I was really...
You can only get so many tracks in. It freaks me out. I'm like, oh my God, I can only play like...
Yeah.
You literally play like half your album.
Yeah, right. You know?
So now, like, when I play shows that are longer, or I'm doing a back-to-back or something like that, it's really fun to kind of... I'm getting better at that.
Yeah.
Like the real...
It's a bit freer.
Of DJing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's a bit more freestyle.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. And it's really fun. I still structure in like energy, so I'll have like 20 tracks that are going to be kind of, I know will go together.
Yeah.
Mix and match.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, we've talked about this on shows before. I used to really enjoy doing back-to-backs with vinyl. You'd hide it from each other, and you'd try and play something that would be real hard to mix into, right? And just throw it out. Yeah, man. But it'd be fun, right? And, you know, throw one in that maybe isn't even 4x4. It might be 5x4, which is really fuck the guy up. You know what I mean?
Just like way off the pitch. Yeah. So staying on the conversation of producing music, then, what's your studio setup? Like, cause we're a bit geeky with obviously studio equipment as well,
and hardware.
You can see the studio.
Yeah, let's get started. Let's go.
How did you build your studio? That's the thing.
Well, I had a home studio for a long time, and over the course of doing that album I went from home studio to a commercial studio. So that was really interesting because I went from hearing my music in the corner of my living room on Yamaha speakers, which are amazing, to listening to it on like barefoot speakers in a commercial studio setting. And so it was a pretty bizarre just shift. And
you're renting that space at that time, obviously.
Renting,
Yep.
And it was just my own personal artist studio at that time, and so that was a huge learning curve, like basically having to completely redo all my mixes, kind of with this more professional environment, and getting used to the room while I'm kind of under, like at that point there was a set date, so I had to finish everything. So it's actually kind of stressful, but good. Stressful things are good for you in the long run. So that was the transition from home to commercial studio. I still had most of my own kit there, and through that process I realized, why don't I make this a commercial studio for friends and DJs from out of town, my friends, to come use when they're here. And that was sort of the birth of Northern House Studio.
I was going to say, obviously we're talking about Northern House now, which,
So that's where I'm lucky enough to make most of my music now. So if it's not booked, I go in on the off hours, and that's where I make music. So
perfect.
Pretty nice. Sometimes I gotta set the gratitude, because it's like, wow, it's so amazing to be able to make music here. It's like, in this environment with all these tools at my disposal, it's quite something.
And obviously it's located Vancouver, downtown kind of thing.
It's in Gastown.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, nice. So I'm trying to do this one, get all the right gear in, the rest of the gear in here, but I've only been here 3 months, right? So slowly actually does it. So what was the first piece of equipment, like synth or hardware, that you bought? Do you mainly use hardware, or do you mainly use DAWs?
I think the first thing I bought was a microKORG, like back in the day.
Really?
microKORG. And I would use it just jamming with my friends. And then I got Yamaha HS8s.
The monitors?
Those off my friend. Yeah, so then I had monitors. I think I had like a M Audio interface. And that was it. Just M Audio, the Yamahas, and microKORG. And that was pretty much it for quite a few years. And
then software, what's your software?
I was in Ableton.
Ableton, pretty much always?
No, so I was hitting a lot of roadblocks. I was in a duo with my friend. He would spin vinyl, and I would just like be in Ableton throwing in
noises and stuff. Yeah.
We had some gigs around town. It was pretty fun. And we used Ableton, so that's kind of what I learned on.
Yeah.
But I was getting stuck in what I call the Ableton loop mode. I couldn't get out of just small clips.
Yeah.
And I had a friend that showed me Logic, and when my brain it worked. I saw the song just laid out, and I was like, oh wow, this makes sense. I can start, it's got a finish, it's got a middle. I can see the whole song. I mean, I know Ableton has that ability as well, but for some reason Logic just clicked.
Yeah.
And I'd also been using GarageBand a bit too, so it was kind of familiar. And that's what I stuck with.
And you're still with it.
I love Logic because of the, you can use it in a commercial setting as well when you're recording for clients or doing vocal stuff. It translates really well to that sort of more traditional studio setup with mics and all that. It's kind of like Pro Tools in that way.
Do you use still? And sorry, Brad, I kind of cut you off with this as well. But going back to the hardware. So from the first pieces you bought, do you still buy hardware? Are you still adding to your studio with hardware, or are you still mainly studio and plugins based kind of, or software and plugins? Sorry. So,
because I'm operating out of Northern House Studios, the synths that we've got there are, trying to be as accommodating to sort of the widest variety of people. So we don't have Eurorack there or modular. I'd love to do that in my own studio one day, like build a modular setup.
That's what my aim is, I love modular.
I wouldn't want anyone to touch it though.
Obviously.
Get your hands off my fucking Eurorack.
So, one of the things with when you have a commercial studio is, everyone's coming in and using that gear, so you've got to find stuff that people are going to be able to use relatively quickly. They're going to get some really good sounds out of right away. Get creative. So I use a Roland System 8. That's absolutely amazing. I love that. It's pretty much in all my songs.
And did you have advice on what was the best gear to put into a commercial studio? Like, was there anyone else helping you out, or did you kind of make the decision yourself what you were going to buy?
Just a lot of research.
Yeah.
And just looked at what my favorite producers were using. And
Yeah.
Because I think
one step at a time,
Yeah.
Like it was mine for a while, so I got the monitoring, but then I slowly kind of phased out some of my equipment and kind of brought in more professional stuff. And
nice.
When it opened, there was nothing left. Like when I opened commercially, I was like, oh man, I had a guitar in there, and I realized, oh, that's the guitar my dad got when he was 17. And he gave it to me. I'm like, I probably shouldn't have that.
Yeah, that's an heirloom.
I kind of slowly realized, like, anything in here, if it breaks, it's a business expense.
Yeah.
You don't really want family heirlooms in here.
No, for sure not.
So
No.
that was a bit of a process.
Yeah.
So how does that work then with like sharing a studio? Do you have your own account on the computer? Like with all your music on there, like your own
it's
stuff?
a timeshare kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty simple because it's all plug and play. So I had to make a move to a MacBook Pro. I was on an iMac before, but pretty easy move. It's the same thing, just portable. And so you just bring in your laptop. So there's no computer there.
Oh, there isn't, no? Okay.
You just bring in your own.
Show up with your computer, plug in, and
away you go.
Everything's running off your own computer, so there's no learning curve.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
No, that's cool, man. So, what's the future plans for yourself with making music and gigs coming up? And
Well, I just had a track come out with Monster Get Down. That's on Euphonic Visions.
Monster Get Down, yeah.
If you like some sort of melodic techno vibes.
Nice.
And I'm working on a couple really exciting projects that I can't necessarily divulge, but I'm really, really excited. One's a vocal project and one's a remix, so those should sort of be seeing the light of day in the next month.
In the next month or two? Yeah. Okay, cool. Maybe we can add some links after the fact and stuff.
Yes, we'll do. I've got a quick question about the vocals though. Are you happy with your voice, or do you use any sort of, vocoders or anything like that?
Vocals are probably one of the hardest things for me because, first of all, like when I write lyrics and sing, it's like you're kind of like putting your soul on the line, it feels like.
Yeah.
So it's, first of all, it's super vulnerable, and it's really difficult, like from an ego perspective, because you're like, someone doesn't like this.
It hurts.
You feel like they don't actually like you.
Yeah.
So
I totally get what you're saying,
if you're
right?
writing from maybe an experience you had or something like that, if they don't like, if someone just doesn't like the lyrics, doesn't resonate, not taking that personally, because it's easy to feel like it's a personal attack. So separating myself from that has been really, really important.
I think that probably resonates in a lot of creativity and different art forms. Like, you know, I like drawing stuff. If someone doesn't like my drawing, I'm like, oh fuck, you don't like me then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I have had that as
you know,
with production, but for some reason with production, it's a bit easier to separate
mm-hmm.
from.
I think it's because there's no really much face to it, is there?
No.
Unless you play, I guess, out and you're doing an artist gig, then you obviously, like you say, it's quite nerve wracking, and you wanna, you know, you're setting the standards, especially when you're paying for a big label like you've played on. But I think, like, you know, when I done vocals, I was just like, no one's around, but I'm just like, oh my god, I don't know if I want to do this, like, and I lower the pitch, and I do. So I wondered if you did that sort of stuff.
Is, you know, it's been a learning curve. You know, when I first started recording my own vocals and putting them on tracks, I would affect them so much that they felt kind of unrecognizable, and I was like, okay, this is good. You know, this sounds cool. But actually realizing, quite recently, that the take where it's as natural as possible, that's your best take. And the least amount of processing you can do is probably the best. Yeah. So, you know, if you have to tune it too much, or if you're, you know, I want to tamper with it as little as possible. You know what I mean? I still use tuning, obviously. You know, I'm not Elton John or anything, so I do have to tune my vocals, and I have to do some processing, of course, but I try to make sure that the take is right.
Yeah.
So when you're making a track, then obviously you start from finding what you want to start with. You know, you've got the vocal, you work around that. Do you go right down to the mix, sound and mastering, or does the label do that for you, or do you do that at Northern Horse Studios? Is there someone that can help you out with that, or do you know how to do it?
I basically do it all.
Do it all, eh?
Yeah.
Nice, fair play.
So it's kind of also learning how to separate that too, because I'll record vocals and then I instantly start trying to mix them. But it's a process. You got to record, and then you got to comp the takes, and then you got to do some light processing, then you got to do the tuning, and then you might go, oh man, this needs to be re-recorded, and then you got to do it all over again.
Jeez.
So when you're doing everything, it's super time consuming for me anyways.
Have you done schooling for this, or are you self-taught here, Bryn? Like, all this that you're doing, all this we're talking about right now, have you just winged this and picked it up on the fly, or have you actually...
That's my motto.
Yeah?
Just go for it.
Fucking good for you, bro.
Fucking do it.
Yeah,
get on with it, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, no one's going to do it for you.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. That's the thing, right? I asked a question about the mix, down and mastering, because that's kind of like the last 20% of a track, isn't it? And a lot of people are like, oh, I need other ears to do this, or more of a...
master. That's where I kind of draw the line of... I have friends that want to see it all the way through, all the way to mastering, but I think Armin said he likes mastering, having someone else master it, because it is passing it off and then kind of getting some outside,
sort
of outside.
A different ear to that sound, right?
Man, I get that.
I think that's important too.
I think so. To get that kind of, again, I've never done it. I'm not someone that's ever done this, but I can understand from your viewpoint, and to make it a better product, you need that kind of outside. Yeah. You need someone else to listen and go, oh, actually, man.
And I've got a great my friend Chris Giuliano, he does my mastering for me, and we've just got a great relationship where he'll be giving me feedback. You know, your snare's a little too bright. You know, maybe your bass could be a bit fuller in this range, and so we've got a great working relationship there, and I trust his ear. So that's awesome.
Yeah, is that based in Vancouver?
Chris is based in LA.
Based in LA?
He's an amazing producer as well.
Yeah.
He's signed with Angina Beats, and he's killing it right now.
Cool.
I would like to find out who can master tracks. I might need
if you need a
mastering guy, go.
So he's the in-house mastering engineer for Northern House as well. So
awesome.
Yeah.
How many, talking about Northern House, then obviously we can promote it a little bit. How many people involved in it, in your community there? Like, you know, you got some people come in and play resident sets, and you doing your streams and things. Like, how's that going?
Do people rent it out to DJ?
Yeah, so it's it's a commercial space, so people are in there getting ready for tours or practicing, or there's people doing lessons out of there.
It's rentable. Yeah, people can come in and
anyone can book it online. It's super accessible. We do our own like live stream on Thursdays.
Yeah.
just building community, having artists from around, like some people fly in if they can, or we'll have local people, and it's just building the community.
Yeah, man, that's super cool.
Getting to know people.
Yeah.
Just come down, let's do a set, let's celebrate music,
Yeah. That's really fucking
We'll
cool,
have to
man.
head down there one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be good to actually do a little podcast there maybe one day. We can bring the cameras down, and maybe when someone's playing a set, we can interview them and
totally
do something like that. It'd be pretty cool, right?
Try and build our Music Matters podcast community.
Yeah.
No, well, thanks ever so much for coming on, Bryn.
Oh,
it's been a blast, man. Thanks
me.
for telling us your story and
Yeah.
how everything's going, and I wish you the best in your future.
Likewise.
Yeah, mate.
Future stuff.
Like I said, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. I hope we can maybe catch up soon. And like I said, I actually would love to come down your studio and do a show. It'd be great.
Yeah, anytime.
Right?
Yeah, perhaps we can do another one with Bryn down in the studio.
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Nice.
Cheers.
Thanks, buddy.